And what is the role of AMH in female fertility?
Okay, so AMH is the most central female fertility hormone. Like if you imagine whole female fertility, all these hormones like estrogen, progesterone, FSH, LH, eggs, follicles, everything. If you look at as orchestra, the AMH is a conductor. AMH is a hormone which calls the shots, which tells who everyone what they should be doing. Why? Because it just sits in the central point of ovarian function. Ovarian function has got two roles, ovaries in female body. One is to release the eggs so that their genes will be passed to the next generation, which is a fertility. Second is to produce female hormones like estrogen and progesterone. That's necessary for female health, for your skin, for your nervous system, for your whole body. You have got estrogen receptors, and those estrogen receptors are necessary for your health. So both of these roles are controlled by AMH hormone. That's most central hormone in female fertility. So the role of AMH, I'll explain. Like we said, any given time, female of reproductive age have a three different type of eggs in the ovaries. Biggest part of eggs are sleeping eggs. We call them primordial follicles. Second one is preantral and antral follicles. These are growing follicles with the egg. Each follicle contains egg inside. Third one is ovulating, activated, dominant follicles. AMH has got two major roles in female fertility. First role of AMH is to preserve your fertility so that you do not run out of your egg reserve quickly. Yeah, so this is the first role. And the second role of AMH is to ensure only one follicle you ovulate every month. Because any given time on your ovaries, you may have 15, 20 antral follicles. If you have PCOS, you may have 70, 80, 100 antral follicles. But AMH ensures only one of them gets ovulated so that you don't have twins and triplets, multiple babies in 1 month. AMH makes sure only one gets through and ovulate. So AMH is suppressant hormone. So suppressant hormone means it just slows everything down. So I tell you how AMH achieves this role. Okay, so in your ovaries, we call is egg reserve. Egg reserve means that you have thousands and thousands of sleeping eggs which were created before you were even born. So now, if you don't have AMH, you run out of all this egg reserve. You just keep activating uncontrollably, and you suddenly run out when you're a child. AMH has to ensure these eggs were created when you're in mom's tummy will last until you are 50 in average, until you are menopausal. This is AMH's role to ensure that when you're ready to have kids, let us say after the age of 20 until the age of 45 or 47, you release these eggs in controlled fashion. You activate these eggs in controlled fashion. So that's a hormone which we call inhibitor. It's like stopgate. So what happens is, let us say if you are born with a very low egg reserve, if you're going to have an early menopause or diminished egg reserve when you're older, so you are born with a very little number of egg reserve. So which means when you're ready to have kids, on your ovaries you have thousands of sleeping eggs. They're not visible. They're surrounded with the cells which in future will start producing with AMH hormone. So if you're born with an average number of eggs, during your fertility life, let us say your 20s, 30s, you have tens of thousands of eggs. If you are born with a very high egg reserve, like in women with PCOS, they are born with hundreds and thousands of eggs. They have got millions of eggs in their ovaries when they were born. And when they come to the fertility age, 20, 30, they have hundreds of thousands of eggs in their ovaries. Yeah, so then what happens is these eggs are in a sleeping state. Each egg has got genetic timer, which was set even before born. So there is an order for activation of your eggs. Let us say you got 20,000 eggs on your ovaries. When your age is 30, for example, each of these 20,000 eggs have got timer. And this timer is activated or deactivated by AMH hormone. So what happens is these eggs, or like tens of thousands of eggs, your age of, let us say you have average egg reserve, your age is 35, you have 20,000 sleeping eggs on your ovaries which you cannot see, then invisible, without the microscope you can't see them. So they sit there. Every day you start activating eggs, because AMH is ensuring the supply of eggs when you have intercourse, so that you get pregnant in your fertile age. So you keep activating eggs every day. Approximately you activate one egg every hour if you are born with average egg reserve, because women with average egg reserve are born with 500,000 eggs. So by the age of 50 they run out. So which means you spend 500,000 eggs within 50 years. So which means you spend approximately how many, like each year you spend like 10,000 eggs. Yeah, each month you spend more than 1,000 eggs, approximately 1,000 eggs. So a lot of these eggs do not become visible. They just get activated before they become visible, which is preantral follicles. They get deactivated. Why? Because they do not have a capacity to become healthy egg. They have a lot of errors, and still your body is selecting healthiest eggs. Just imagine your ovaries, like eggs are like pipeline. In the pipeline you have got thousands of sleeping eggs, and they're getting activated. So they start traveling through, and next 3 months they should become large. A lot of them don't make it. They don't become visible. They just disappearing. Then some of them become preantral follicles, and they start producing AMH hormone, which you can detect in your blood. Then healthy ones get next stage, which become antral follicles, which we can actually see on ultrasound scan. We call antral follicle count. AFC is antral follicles. So those antral follicles also produce AMH, and then they keep going. And if you have a lot of sleeping eggs, you activate a lot of sleeping eggs, and you have a lot of antral follicles in the pipeline, and a lot of preantral and antral follicles produce a lot of AMH locally on your ovaries, and some of them goes to the blood, and that's a stop signal to sleeping eggs. Okay, so they essentially send, like conductor, send us a message back to ovary sleeping eggs, say, look, we got plenty of eggs here already. We got like 20 antral follicles sitting, producing 20 picomoles of AMH. We don't need you to be activated. You stay asleep. We don't need like here like thousands of eggs going into ovary at once. So they send a signal back saying, just stay asleep. We got the control here. So if your antral follicles drops on your ovary, let us say you got 20 antral follicles, it's signal to sleeping eggs. Slow down. We got enough eggs here. So if your antral follicle number drops, your AMH drops, mainly in the ovary. We're just listening to the signal by doing blood test and scan. That drop is a signal to the sleeping eggs. Say, look, we are running out of eggs, antral follicles or eggs in ovaries. You need to wake up now, get into the system, so that after 3 months you will be ready to ovulate and give this lady baby. Yeah, so that's internal signal. This crosstalk is going on, and that's conducted by AMH. That's central hormone. If you remove the AMH, if you deactivate AMH gene or receptor, suddenly that is the first role of AMH, is to send a signal to sleeping eggs to not to get activated unless this antral follicle number drops. So this is why in women with who's running out of egg reserve, they have very little antral follicles, 3, 4, 5, 6 antral follicles. If you measure their AMH, is only 1 or 2. Yeah, so which means they're producing less AMH. And then whatever left on the ovaries, they don't have many follicles left, and that encourages, say, look, we're here running out of eggs, and we need to we need an egg which ovulates, which means get active, and they keep pushing whatever eggs left into the system. So AMH's first role is to preserve your fertility, so that your eggs last until you are menopausal. Yeah, so that's the first role. So this inhibitor hormone. And the second role of AMH is, let us say now you got 20 follicles on your ovaries, 10 on the right ovary, 10 on the left ovary. When you do antral follicle count, sonographer says, oh, good, so you have good egg reserve. Your AFC is 20, which is good egg reserve. So when you check your AMH, you have got 20 picomoles or 15 picomoles of AMH. Okay, that's good. If you didn't have AMH, all of those 20 eggs would ovulate. You would release 20 eggs. You had a multiple pregnancy. Yeah. So in humans, we want singleton pregnancies. Occasionally, twin pregnancies happen because the human's not designed to carry like 5, 6 babies at once. That's the role of AMH. It ensures out of 20 follicles, one gets through and ovulates. That's the healthiest one. Generally, not only the healthiest one, but this is the one which is the largest, which is close to 9-10 millimeters and is the healthiest. Why it's healthiest? Because healthiest follicle produces healthy level of hormones to interact with the ovarian system. So, and then it lets that follicle to go through and keeps all the follicles suppressed. So here the barrier between AMH and FSH hormone. FSH is produced from the pituitary gland. So FSH, let us say your AMH is high when you have a PCOS, you have like 70 antral follicles. When your AMH is high, so one of the 70 follicles makes through and ovulate. Or if your FSH is not high in PCOS, you do not ovulate. Why? Because this AMH is suppressing. So then all the follicles don't ovulate. What happens to all the 69 follicles? Yeah, these 69 follicles disappear. You lose them. It's normal. Yeah. So what happens? It's called atresia. So then these 69 follicles don't disappear all at once. They gradually get replaced by new antral follicles growing. That's also a role of AMH. So AMH is a conductor. So it sits in the middle, tells sleeping eggs saying you stay asleep, and tells sleeping eggs now you need to wake up and go into the system, and I need to see you in 3 months. It tells also activated follicles ready for ovulation, like you have 20 follicles, they want to ovulate, yeah, and release the egg. They're competing with each other to release the egg. AMH tells I will select one follicle, and then others you can't ovulate and you disappear. And this is a slow process, and that's a continuous process. This is why it doesn't matter when you measure your AMH, first day of menstrual cycle, middle of menstrual cycle, end of menstrual cycle, because this is a continuous process. Nothing can stop. Pregnancy cannot stop, contraception cannot stop, IVF cannot stop, egg freezing cannot stop. This starts, this secondary activation starts once you start having menstrual period at the age of 14, 15, then stops when you run out of egg reserve at the age of menopause. 50 average is 50, 52 average. So the role of AMH on your ovaries or your fertility is two roles. One is to ensure that you have orderly activation of sleeping eggs so that you do not run out of egg reserve before you reach menopause, and the second is to ensure that you produce only one follicle, one egg every month. So this has got two roles.